Okay. This recorder, we've started this recorder, so today is the 22nd of February, 2023. The time is 5:03 p.m. This is a Finance Committee meeting. In attendance, we have myself, Councilperson and Committee Chair Wolf, Councilperson JP Martin, and our Fiscal Officer, that guy, Jeff Wilczek. Sorry.
Okay, that's it.
All right.
Okay.
So you'd asked to meet because you had some report formatting you wanted to run by us. Is that the
Correct, and at least provide a little bit of an understanding as to what some of this stuff means.
Sure.
Without trying to go really in depth.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure where everybody stands, and my experience, some people look at this and it's Greek and put it aside and never go further. Okay.
Sure.
So the first thing I want to give a quick overview on is a little bit about the chart of accounts.
Okay.
So I just give a little diagram here, and if you're interested, I have a full copy. If you're interested in it being electronic, I can do that too.
Yeah. Well, I will always take things in PDF
Yes.
over paper.
So when you look at the reports for revenue and expenditures, the revenue side has three dimensions to the account code. The first four digits are the fund number, and that fund number stays the same for both the revenue and expenditure side. 1,000 is general fund, 2,000 is our special revenue funds, and once you step away from general fund, these funds are all restricted in some fashion. Okay? So, 3,000 debt service, 4,000 capital projects, and on down the list there. All right. Looking at the revenue side, the second dimension, which is three digits, it defines major sources with the first number of that three-digit dimension. The second and third further define things more. Okay. For example, 200s, intergovernmental revenues, state shared and permits. There's several different accounts within that grouping. And the same goes with the rest of them, but that's your major sources. And when you look at an annual report, you'll see the same descriptions for revenues on it. When you look at the expenditure side, there's actually four dimensions to the account code. And again, the first one is the fund number. The second one is the program or activity. So program or activity, you start off with security of persons and property, which includes police, fire, street lighting, and I think the emergency siren is one of the other things that's in that group. And then as you go down the list, public health services, leisure time activities, community environment, basic utility services, transportation, and you get into general government, which includes mayor, council, mayor's court, the fiscal office, lands and buildings, and some number of other items there. And again, the chart of accounts will further explain that if you want to look at it. And then the object code, which further defines the expenditures between personal services, employee fringe benefits, contractual services, supplies, and materials. Okay, and again, all three numbers are used within those account codes to mean something else. But the gist of it is contractual services, material supplies, etc. Okay. So you also understand something else. When we adopt appropriations, they're adopted at personal services, other, capital outlay, debt service, transfers, and advances. The other category is the object codes 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. What that enables us to do is management can reallocate what's appropriated within the level that council adopts.
Right.
To break it out further only creates problems for us in trying to manage things on a daily basis. Personal services is all the salaries, and that's all that goes in that one. I can reallocate within the salaries between part-time, full-time, whatever may be the case.
Police or
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I can't go between police and
because-
mayor's
Oh,
office.
because those are different.
Yes, I have to stay within.
One is government, what was it, government?
General government.
General government, the other.
I
one is
have to stay
security.
within the program
Yeah.
or activity and object codes.
Got it.
So I can move around the salaries within the police department, but they cannot be moved to the mayor's office.
Right.
Okay?
Yep, no,
Same goes.
Makes
So,
sense.
and that just gives management more flexibility to work with some things. So I have to stay within what council authorizes, their appropriations, okay? So, again, if you want, I can send a copy out electronically.
Yeah,
okay?
electronic would be good. Do you want a paper copy?
Electronic?
Yeah.
Okay, and it's not hard to follow down through on that, so. The first thing I wanna show is what is the fund summaries. This gives a high-level overview of the beginning balance, month-to-date receipts, expenditures, ending balance. And I've got a few different types here, so we'll see which ones is really desired.
Sure.
Okay, I have a feeling which one it will be, but the first one, this one is just the cash summary. It identifies revenues, transfers, and advances, in and out, and expenditures, and beginning and ending balance. Okay. It doesn't subtotal it. It provides one total, and that's at the bottom. And currently, at the end of January, we had almost $10,200,000 in cash, or within the
Fine.
treasury. That's mainly because of the bond sale.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next one, this one is a little bit different in that it gives month-to-date, year-to-date numbers, where that's not on the other one.
Right.
And it will show you the reserve for encumbrances. In other words, encumbrances are those purchase obligations that have been authorized but not fulfilled by the vendor yet.
Yep.
Let JP catch up here.
Do you have a question? No?
So, the next one I did, I actually exported the information and put some subtotals in here so that you can see where general fund, the special revenue funds, debt service capital projects, and our custodial funds. It gives you a little bit easier to read view. And this one takes me about 10 minutes to do once I dump it out of the accounting system. If this one's a little easier to follow, then I have no problems putting that with the monthly report.
If you're asking me my preference, I like number 2 the best.
The month-to-date, year-to-date?
Yeah.
Okay.
The one that has the current reserve encumbrances.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think this one has all the information that I need and
That's
want.
That's fine. I mean, that's why I'm offering a few different ones. So.
Do you have a different opinion, JP? Alright, and I think that one, it's straightforward, easy to read, the fund
Okay.
numbers are straightforward and easy to read. I think it gives your ins and outs for the month, right? I mean,
Yeah.
ins and outs for the year, and it gives you, the encumbrances, which I don't think is clear or as clear in the other two.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
And there's actually a report that will help shed some light on that one.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at general fund, you see $785,000 in encumbrances already. Well, part of that is the $225,000 for fire services with Columbus from last year that they just finally sent the bill in.
Oh, nice.
Yes. So, yeah.
Is it a separate bill for the
Water,
Yeah.
hydrants?
yeah?
I don't believe so. I think it's all, I didn't see the invoice yet. Leah told me
Okay.
about it. That is something that I want to talk to them about and get broken out.
Yeah.
Because we can actually charge the maintenance of the water lines and hydrants to the
To that.
water maintenance fund. water line maintenance fund. Unless, could it stay in general fund? Yes. We have a separate fund for maintaining all the water lines, and hydrants are part of it.
Right.
So,
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Did they come back with a new amount?
not yet. That's the other thing I want to talk to them about and find out what's going on.
Have they published their operating budget for this?
Not that I'm aware of, and a week ago I heard that they were still in the process of approving it.
Got it, because that's, any changes, our agreement with them has guardrails on how much they can change our number based on their
No.
operating budget.
This year, or there's 235,000 appropriated right now, but I'd love to be able to split out the maintenance of the water lines with that. So,
Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah. So, all right.
It may come under separate, my concern is it may come under separate bill, because I think they're two separate agreements.
I'd have to look into, because right now I'm under the impression it's all part of one.
I can't remember
can't
if they amended the original agreement off the top of my head,
Okay.
or if they entered into a second agreement, but they were negotiated separately.
All right.
Because we entered into the service contract for
Yeah.
the fire and EMS, and then we realized that we didn't have the infrastructure to continue to do the other things that needed done, and so then.
Yeah, I'm not so sure. Yes, I'm not so sure they got all the right attention in the past anyways.
Oh, for sure it didn't.
Okay, next thing I want to look at is two types of revenue reports that we have, okay? And the first one, this again gives the budget amount, month to date and year to date information, and then the variance on the budget. It is at a summary level in terms of revenue sources, and of course by fund. Whereas the second page there, and I only gave you part of the report, okay?
Yeah.
Safe. The revenue status gives you every account code that we have for revenue, but it doesn't summarize it by major source. You can look at the second dimension in there and see the first two are taxes. And then you get into part of the intergovernmental and on down the line.
Right.
Either one's easy to produce, they're straight out of the system. It depends upon what you like to look at.
Hang on a second here, so revenue by summary, or revenue, okay, so.
Yes.
What's going on with the second page of revenue by status?
I gave a second page because that's what you get down to get general fund total.
Got it.
And then it starts in the street, state highway, and lists all the account codes for those funds.
Right. I love the unfavorable.
It's just, we haven't collected much of our budget, or our estimated revenues yet.
It's really early, right?
Yes.
I mean,
And, we're picking up some advances off of property taxes, but I don't think there was any in January, and we haven't posted all the receipts for February yet,
right.
okay? Income tax, though, is doing quite nicely.
Good.
But I want to wait and see how that's really looking. Yeah, it does change throughout the year.
Well, yeah, well,
So, I mean,
read it with their quarterly estimates and.
right
blah, blah,
now, on an annual basis, it's up 7.5%. If you look at the first 2 months, we're up like 35% over last year, same time.
blah. Interesting.
So, a lot of that has to do with the school. And there are some other employers that are showing some hefty increases.
Interesting.
Yes. Whether it continues, I don't know. I'm at a point I don't know how to read the news anymore as to which way things are going. And I listen to Bloomberg and some of the other financial ones, and it's all over the place.
We're in a weird spot, right? Because
Yes.
unemployment's at an all-time low, but then nobody wants to work these days.
Yes, quite true. So it makes it hard to figure out what's really happening. but we'll just monitor it and see how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Usually by May, we'll have a little bit better idea because you've got all of the final returns for 22 that came in.
Right.
And January probably has a lot of estimates for 23 in it, because I believe they're due by the end of January. Your first estimated payments?
Yeah.
Okay. So, the revenue summary one, I don't think you guys really want to see all the detail. If you do, I can always send it to you. I think the summary level and the month-to-date, year-to-date gives you a little better feel
Yeah.
for some things.
I agree. I think that in general, on a monthly basis, the revenue summary is fine,
Okay.
but maybe, twice a year, we get the deeper info just in case,
fine.
or if there's some need to request it.
Yeah. JP, just so you know, a lot of our revenues do not come in equally monthly. Even the income tax will fluctuate a great deal monthly. Property taxes, they're settled twice a year. February, March, you get the first half. July, August, you get the second half. Interesting, I was hoping that as part of the advances, we would get advances on the TIF too.
Yeah.
No, because I was really looking forward to that and getting that invested. Yeah, because I was expecting about 350,000 on the first half.
Interesting.
So, anyways, expenditure side, okay. Again, I did the same thing with this one. I copied a couple pages of the appropriations summary, and then I copied one page of the appropriation status, so you can see a little bit of a difference. Again, summary gives you month-to-date, year-to-date numbers along with the encumbrances, but it's at the major object level: personal services, benefits, contractual services. And the appropriation status,
Right.
I subtotal it on the major object.
Okay.
There's only one page for that one, Brian.
That's why I'm.
Okay. But it gives you an idea of how much detail exists within salaries versus benefits.
No, I did not get this.
And that was the
status
last
at
one.
all.
You didn't? Do you have one? Do you have an appropriation status versus summary?
I do.
You got them both? Okay, good, good. So, again, I can subtotal the status by major object, and you get to see all the account codes.
Mm-hmm.
That was the last sheet that I gave out,
Yeah.
Chippy. Or we can look
No,
at,
he doesn't have, if this is, yeah, he doesn't have the.
Oh, whoops.
What about you do? Let me see that last page.
should be appropriation
Oh,
status.
no, you know what it is? He has all appropriation status, and I have all appropriation summary.
Oh.
Okay, something really
I
got
think he needs that page.
messed
Oh, wait.
up on my copying.
You're fine, here, let me just,
So- It's more of a question, do you want to see all the account codes or the summary level?
I think again, for a lot of the same reasons that I liked the revenue status, I think or the,
Summary.
no, didn't I?
So that's the revenue summary.
No, what's this one?
That's a fund summary.
Fund summary. Oh, okay. Well, what's interesting is that the appropriations. Hold on. Hold on. I'm looking at something. Encumbered. Oh, okay. They're just different in an interesting way. Okay.
Yeah.
Give me a second to
Okay.
look at these.
Which one are you looking at, JP?
Appropriation status, page 512. Just kind of going back and forth over the appropriation summary.
Final appropriation.
all supposed to be the same. Should have 4 sheets you got.
No, I got 13 pages of appropriation summary, and he got 12 pages of appropriation status.
You may have got my originals.
Oh.
That was not to happen.
Ha 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 ha.
Okay,
So this goes here, 5,
so, yes,
6, 7, okay.
appropriation status, so what I was trying to give you is just the first page that shows you all of the account codes. This is within the police department. Whereas the summary, if you had the first page on that one, you would see the police department. And it subtotals on the major object code of
Right.
salaries, benefits, contractual services, material supplies. And you're not,
I'm gonna go with your judgment on.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the summary is probably more useful here.
this is the summary one, okay? Sorry about that. I'm
Fine.
not sure what happened in there.
Appropriation summary.
Summary, okay. And again, if you ever want to see all the detail, you just ask me and I'll email it to you.
Exactly.
So, on that. So, my intentions here, such as with what I sent out for January, we'll send out monthly report that contains the 3 pieces to everybody, and it will always be emailed and PDF'd. Okay? The only other thing that is new that I don't know to what extent you will have an interest in it. I think you might. So this is just a high level, and it summarizes what our investments are right now. We've used to have nothing but certificates of deposit. We're down to $200,000 on those. As they mature, it gets rolled into something else.
Okay.
Money market investments, there's 2 money market accounts. I'm sorry. There's one showing here is the next one. That is with Fifth Third, and there's very little in that because that was the account that held the CDs when they matured and so on, okay? I'm slowly getting away from that. The next grouping is Star Ohio, and Star Ohio is a money market mutual fund available to local governments. Currently, it's paying 4.6%, approximately.
Okay.
So I have 2 accounts there. The regular investments and then the bond proceeds. And I'm intentionally keeping the bond proceeds invested separately so that down the line, if we have to look at things on an arbitrage basis, I've got everything separated and make that analysis much easier.
Yeah.
Okay? What is labeled meter bond account and meter treasury account? Meter, it's actually, everything is held with U.S. Bank. Meters are our investment advisor. We've got a combination of treasury bills, notes. I've got some agency securities. And then there's another mutual fund that the interest slides into as things pay and mature, okay? Much more detailed, and I don't know whether there's an interest in the detail or just keeping it at a summary level.
I would have an interest just in a detail of the mix,
Okay?
just so that we can understand our risk exposures, right?
Okay?
Because I don't know that, I can guarantee you council has no idea what we're in and what that risk exposure is like, and I think we should probably be
Well-
signing off on that.
In terms of risk, everything is in treasuries. And by statute, we're restricted as to what we can invest in.
Sure.
Predominantly, it's treasury securities and agencies, so there's minimal risk there.
Yeah.
We can invest in our own bonds if we wanted, or bonds of other local governments in the state, which I haven't done. and I can get into commercial paper and banker acceptances, but I haven't done that one yet.
Yeah.
There's a hour session that I have to sit through with the treasurer of state in order to qualify to do those. Right now, I'm happy with the treasury securities and what we're doing there. Okay, even Star Ohio has minimal to almost no risk. So, just in the last 6 months of 22, we earned $106,000 in interest.
Well, there you go.
So, big difference. A lot of that is going into the bond fund.
Right.
Okay, so far, just the month of January, I earned $28,000. So, part of what I'm looking at is not included in the contract price for the new building or our
Right.
renovations is the furniture and IT equipment.
Sure.
So my interest is what I'm
It's a
hoping to buy
nice,
it.
it's a nice
Okay.
place to pull from for that.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah, I just would like to at least have that documentation just so that
I will
on a cold
share-
and lonely night I can review them.
I will share meters reports with you. Because they pull together the Treasury Securities along with Star Ohio and the CDs
Okay.
in there. And there's a couple of pages in there that outline everything. It even identifies the premium or discount that we end up incurring at times, and mostly it's a discount right now, which is fine. It's just added interest. Sometimes there's accrued interest that has been paid, and we get that back when we get the first interest payment on the securities. So I'll go a little bit further and I'll share those with you on it. This is done as part of my bank rec every month.
Right.
Because I gotta figure out where it exists. and-
where everything went and where
Yes.
where it's coming from and where it's going to.
Yes.
Yeah,
So-
I get that. Like I say, I do think that this kind of summary layout is fine
Okay.
from a report perspective. But like I said, only because I know I
Yeah.
am certain that there's been no insight or oversight into what those investments are. It would be
Oh, again.
it would behoove. Oh, I know, super low risk, all treasury stuff, but it's
And
you know.
again, the statutes restrict us, so
Yeah.
we're not playing games with things that are high
We're not-
risk and
we're not buying penny stocks. We're not.
not buying.
We're not going in on IPOs. We're not.
And we're not messing around with the cryptocurrencies either.
Right. Oh man. We're not buying fancy
So-
coin collections.
So, a couple other things not related to these things, okay? There will be forthcoming a supplemental appropriation request.
Okay.
When we did the original budget, I did not have the increase for the healthcare, so it's based on old rates.
Yeah.
Okay. One of the other things that occurred with the salaries, and this is for the non-uniformed people, non-police, I anticipated a merit increase only. What ended up getting authorized was a cost of living plus merit.
Yeah.
So that's an extra 5% that some will pick up that I've got a budget for, and I'm picking that one up. I also found that I had a bad link when it came to lands and buildings and the salaries for our part-time help there. I only picked up one instead of all of them. So, yeah, it was. It took me a while to figure out what was happening there. So there will be some changes forthcoming with the salaries.
Right.
A
Those.
little bit with the benefits, but not a whole lot.
Right. Those just from a procedural standpoint, because we're early enough in the year, we're not in a rush though, right? We can do our 3 readings and
Yes,
yeah.
I'm
fine.
keeping that in the back of my mind all the time.
Yeah,
on
that's
that, okay?
and I know it's, but people
Yes.
get less
And
agitated when
3 readings and it's approved and it's an effective upon passage.
yeah, because it's an
without
appropriation.
emergency.
Exactly.
So, anyways, that will be forthcoming probably next week in time for the committee meeting on
For the-
legislation.
So legislation is meeting tomorrow.
7 o'clock. I know.
7 o'clock.
Yeah, but that's more to talk about, the major change to.
I mean, well, we're not gonna have another.
I thought there was
legislative
one the
committee
first
meeting.
Thursday of,
That's the
March.
that's the council work session. So yeah, if you have it for the
it'll be
council
for
work
that one.
session, that's
Yes,
fine.
yes.
Yep.
You'll have it before I disappear on vacation.
Where are you going?
Cabo San Lucas.
Ah, nice. Gotta hit up the what is it? Sammy Hagar's Cabo Wabo, right?
Gone to his place a few times, and if I would go in August, I'd actually get to see him there, and because that's the month of his birthday.
Ah,
So, now we've gone there a couple of times. I got some zip lining I'm looking at doing, quad running in the desert,
fun.
and just some beach time
Oh yeah.
in the sun.
In the
But
sun.
anyways, so supplemental appropriation forthcoming. I just wanted to let you know on that one.
What was the increase on healthcare?
It was about 12.5%, but it differed on the breakout. Family coverage was not quite 12.5%. Single was,
Interesting.
and part of what they
It's-
take into account is the age of the people in that group.
We've also, it's been a while since we've had a 10% or more
Yes.
increase, so
Yeah.
it's probably some market.
And one of the things
correction
I'm
too.
also looking at, I don't get a very good response from Burnham and Flowers and the people that handle the healthcare. So there's another agent that I'm looking at that's over in Dublin, local. And part of what we want to look at is going down the road. We've been with Medical Mutual for many years and never questioned. So I think it's time to
Oh, sure.
see what the market has to offer.
Oh, yeah,
And-
shopping it is perfectly reasonable.
Everybody, what will happen is all of our staff will end up inputting some information into a website that'll go out, and we'll solicit some bids on this
Okay.
and see what comes about.
Yeah, for 2024, take a
Yes.
look and see what's out there.
Exactly.
I think that's perfectly reasonable and rational and appropriate.
And we'll do the same with the dental and vision. My personal experience with Delta Dental is not many dentists continue to stay in Delta Dental. Delta Dental's pretty lean on what they pay. So we'll see what's out there that might be better too.
Yeah.
I'm not looking to try and increase costs, but maybe control them a little bit more.
Sure.
And the other thing we're going to have to revisit, and some people are just going to have to bite the bullet, our employees contribute very little to the healthcare. And there were some that were grandfathered in long ago. To, I think they made to pay $10. Okay? I'm thinking we need to look at that a little bit more.
Yeah, that seems reasonable to look at that. That everybody should be, certainly at least everybody should be paying
I think a little bit more.
the, whether it's more on the whole or just,
Yeah.
and nobody should be in a heritage plan where they're not putting in the same rate of everybody else.
So we're going to see what we can do to help control those costs a little bit more. You never know. You might find a better program out there that same cost.
Yeah, oh,
So-
absolutely.
And we'll figure out how we're going to address employee contribution. I know we contribute nicely to the employee HSAs,
Right.
which also helps in terms of the high deductible policy and maintaining that side. And again, we'll have about 3 to 4 months that we can work with that individual and see what we can come up with,
Good.
leading into appropriations for '24 on that. Okay. Outside of that, that's the biggest stuff. We're waiting to hear a little bit more on a few projects, such as fountains, and what's going to happen with that. So, debt payments. OPWC sent us a bill for $52,000, and I'm looking at it and thinking something's not right. And it wasn't. We paid the $52,000, and I've been in contact with them. They finally agreed that yes, the one water line loan should have been $14,000, not $28,000. So I will be getting $14,000 back.
Nice.
And then that loan is actually paid off. In 2020, they delayed one of the semi-annual payments. So it's
Right.
thrown all those schedules off. And somebody misread the schedule when they sent us the bill. So that's getting taken care of
Honest
there.
mistakes happen as long as. it
Well,
all
I had no
washes.
choice. I had to pay it and then and tell them what's going on.
Yep.
So they looked at it, and like I said, they agreed. Outside of that, so far the budget seems to be holding up pretty good. And
Gotta love it when the budget holds up good.
Yes.
All right. Well,
Although-
yeah, sounds good to me.
I expect the payments on the new building to increase some going forward here. We've made 4 payments on that one. This one, last one was about $190,000.
Right.
so-
Because why is that changing?
It's based upon completion.
Oh, okay.
Okay, the first couple of months we were only right around 100,000,
Got it.
and work has been picking up.
Yeah,
So
it's looking good from what I can.
go past it again
Huh?
with more daylight.
Yeah.
So outside of that, I don't know if there's other things that committee's interested in hearing about or seeing.
No, I'm good at the moment. I
Okay.
think as we get further into the year, and we'll.
Yeah.
I think this committee's biggest stuff every year is annual budgeting, and
Okay.
that will happen when that happens.
Yeah. So the latter part of May, June, we'll begin the process of putting together the tax budget,
Mm-hmm.
which kind of leads into the main budget in the last quarter of the year. Okay.
Right.
Property tax estimates. Verbally, I got an amount of about $500,000 in total from the county. So our tax dollars may have gone up some. I anticipated $465 for this year. Carrie told me about $500,000.
Yeah.
But I'll wait and see what the certificate has. Okay.
Right. The yeah, there's that, and then it's also when's the county assessment? We should be coming up on that again fairly soon.
I'm thinking 23 is the reassessment, with the 24 being when you
The
get
effective. Yeah.
yes
All right. Well.
on that. But I'll have to double check that one. Okay.
Yeah.
One last item, annual report for 22. You'll be getting a copy of it email probably next week.
Perfect.
I'm pretty much done with it. I need to take care of a couple of things with it, and we got to get a notice out that it's available for public inspection too. So
All right.
right now it's the regulatory basis, which is just your combined financial fund types.
Right.
That's the easiest and simplest for everyone to understand. Before I left the last time, I was doing what they referred to as the other comprehensive basis of accounting. It was more in line with the newer GAAP financial statements, but it's still cash basis. And it had a big difference, rolls everything up into one financial statement to look at for the village as a whole, and it includes a management discussion and analysis. And that's highlights of what's been going on for the year, and taking a look at the revenue and expenditures combined total.
Yeah.
I more than likely will do that again for 23.
That sounds good to me.
So it takes a little more effort and time, but I think it's worth it, and it gives,
It's a better report at the end.
it's a narrative, and if nothing else, you can look at the first half a dozen pages and you get a good overview of what happened for the year.
Yep.
So outside of that,
All right. No, that all sounds good to me. JP, did you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything to bring up?
I believe we covered all of my essentials here.
All
So-
right. Well then, here we are at 5:42, and hearing no objection, I will bring this meeting to a close.
okay.
All right. Yeah. Big fun.